Hey everyone, you're watching Sidestep Adventures. It's Robert, and today I have returned to the Holloman Cemetery to do a third part in the video series on this cemetery and to finish documenting this cemetery as best as I can. Now, if you've seen the other two parts of this cemetery, you'll know that I did a walkthrough of the cemetery where I didn't read any of the tombstones, and then on part 2 I documented half of the cemetery. I drew an imaginary line and stopped right there where that big tree is. I documented all the graves behind that tree, but none of the graves over here on this side. And there are some pretty interesting graves out here that we're going to take a look at. Well, let's look at this pretty wildflowers blooming there, providing food for the bees. And this is a really large cemetery, of course. I'm going to go back up there and try to start at a particular place and just work my way through, because there's graves all through these woods, so if I just kind of jumped around I would miss a lot of them. There's a grave right there marked by fieldstone, and this is I forgot what that's called. Stinging nettle. A stinging nettle right there. That's not fun at all to get on your skin. There's Billy and Cody, and there's some more graves over here that we're about to start documenting. All right, first of all, let me turn the camera around and see if you can see there are biting flies. I think they're deer flies. They're swarming all around me today. I've already been stung here. I don't know if they're coming around right now and you can see them on video, but they are the most awful thing to run into in the woods of Georgia. And there's not a lot that keeps them away. DEET, none of that keeps them away. So I don't remember if I documented this grave on either of the videos that I've done here already, but so we'll go ahead and start right here. This is William D. Flynn, Company G, 46th Georgia Infantry, Confederate States of America. And then there's another one in the woods over there. There's two more here. We'll document those in a minute when I get the brush out and kind of sweep them off. There's two children. Two children right there. I had to pause for just a minute to listen to all of that gunfire. Of course, we are in the woods in the country today, so that's pretty normal. This is Susan H. Page, who was born October 1st, 1836 and died March 1st, 1915. It says at the bottom, "A precious wife and mother from us is gone. A voice we loved is still. A place is vacant in our home, which never can be filled." So this is a child's grave right here. It is unmarked. And over here, another child's grave, more than likely also unmarked. Try to get some of that dust off of there. See, sometimes these brooms just don't cut it. Like I've got to use my hands to actually get the mud and stuff off. But that grave, that child's grave, is also unmarked. So we'll make our way over here and see if there's any marking on this grave. Which there is not, but at least we'll uncover it for just a little bit. It almost looks like there's, it almost looked like there was marking in there, but it's just where the concrete has eroded There's another grave here, probably unmarked as well. It looks the same style as the infant's grave and the other adult grave over there. If there's no marking on that grave. So over here, I'll go ahead and move this dead pine tree out of the way. Now this is a pretty interesting stone right here compared to like that stone, because that appears to be a piece of concrete or some other similar material, while this stone right here, you know what, I just talked about the stinging nettle, and I just put my hand in it right there, and boy is my finger stinging right now. That is some unpleasant stuff for sure. But as I was saying, this is actually a piece of quarried rock right here, and not a piece of concrete like the others. So that's pretty interesting to see. Now as we get over here, this is a broken stone, and I'm going to turn the camera off for just a moment and try to uncover these two pieces here, see if we can't piece them together and document what it says. All right, so I've got this grave as uncovered as I can get it, and about to grab the flashlight out and document. It's J.C. Johnston. And it says died March 16th, and we've got 18, but this piece of stone right here that would have the rest of the date is missing, unfortunately. It says, Father, let thy grace be given that we may meet in heaven. All right, so while the camera was off, I went ahead and dug out this grave and also uncovered that one as best as I could. So this is Margaret B., wife of Sam L. Johnston, born September 30th, 1809, and died June 7th, 1899. It says at the bottom, she was a tender mother here, and in her life the Lord did fear. This says at the top, my husband, Samuel J. Johnston, born August 28th, 1861, and died May 9th. And unfortunately, I'm not able to make out a date there. And also the epitaph, I'm unable to read on this one. You can see in this section right here, it's completely worn away. And there's just, the letters are just too degraded for me to be able to read what is left. And of course, even if I was able to, it wouldn't be complete because it's so worn. This is a child's grave with a lamb on top. It says, my little babe, Julia, infant daughter of Samuel and Annie Johnston, born March 21st, 1888, and died September 1st, 1888. This lovely bud, so young, so fair, called hence by early doom, just came to show how sweet a flower in paradise would bloom. And there's more at the bottom here. It says, ere sin could harm or sorrow fade, death came with friendly care, the opening bud to heaven conveyed, and bade it blossom there. So here's another interesting stone here First of all, there's a footstone. That's for MBJ. That's for this grave over there. But there's this large stone here, and I feel like it's probably marking a grave, but there's no inscription on it. And like the other one right there I pointed out, this is just appears to be a large rock that was quarried into this square. Now behind it, there's another one, very similar. But this one actually has some engraving on it. I'm hoping we're going to be able to make it out. I'm going to try to get this moss off of there so we can. But again, this is a large rock that's been quarried down. So I'm going to go ahead and shut the GoPro off and try to get in there and scrub some of that moss out, and hopefully we'll be able to read what it says. All right, so there's just a name on this stone. It says W.B. Allen on it. There is no further inscription, but a very, very interesting gravestone right here. So now we'll move on to these. These are some definitely interesting stones in here, and I'm going to cut the camera off again for just a minute because I'm going to try to clear myself a little path so I can get into these and document them and clean them off just a little bit so we can read what they say. You see there's one there that's totally covered over in pine straw. So I'm going to turn the camera back off again and do that, and hopefully we'll be able to get back there when I turn it back on. It's gone but not forgotten. Thomas C. Johnston, born June 16th, 1828, and died January 4th, 1904. The epitaph, which is hard to read because the stone is not sitting where it should be, obviously, but it's a very familiar one. It says, "A precious one from us is gone, a voice we loved is stilled." And I think it finishes like "never to be filled" or something like that. That's a very common epitaph on graves of that age. And now we've got this one cleaned off. This is Harriet A. Johnston, who's wife of Thomas C. Johnston. She was born April 22nd, 1837, and she died March 22nd, 1879. At the bottom, it says, "Farewell, dear wife and mother. We will meet in heaven." All right, so as you can see in here, we're still working on getting a path through here, but these are some really interesting tombs here. These are obviously stacked fieldstone with a tablet inserted right there. So I'm going to grab my gloves and kind of dig out some of that pine straw, and hopefully we'll be able to read that. It looks like it's in pretty good shape. All right, so I had to do quite a bit of clearing to be able to get down to that headstone. It's sunk quite a bit, but let me turn my light down, make sure you guys can read it as well. This is Martha E., wife of C. Allen, born March 11th, 1825, and died July 25th. Now that death year is hard to read because it's still so far down in there. See if I can get the brush on it at all. And that's just kind of making it worse. It's 1870. Maybe it's 1870. No. It's hard to make out that very last date on there. This could be a 1874, or I'm not entirely sure. Hopefully, maybe we'll be able to figure that out through records. So make sure you check the comments, see if anybody has been able to find that date and see exactly when she died. But what an interesting stone here. Of course, you can see there was an oak tree growing out of the middle of it, but I'll just uncover the top just a little bit. You can see these big field stones that make up this tomb. So that's a pretty interesting grave. Now over here, and it's going to take me just a minute before I can get over to that one, but that's another large piece of quarried rock. And I've got to say, I've never really seen that style of stone before in the cemetery. Not that big, so that's pretty fascinating to me. But I'm going to walk around while Cody's still clearing out over here a little bit and try to get to that one. I've got another one to read right there and another one over there before I go over there though. So I'll see you guys in an instant. All right, so here's another one of those fieldstone tombs like we were just looking at. And the headstone or tablet that's right there is missing, and I believe it to be this one. Makes sense that it would be because it's laying on top of the grave, although this is a full-size tomb and this is a child's headstone. But that could have just been the way they did the burial. Now this is obviously broken. It's kind of hard to make out. It's TC, and it looks like almost the and symbol, but something Johnston. Born January 14th, 1866, and died February 4th, 1866. So just an infant. Now when I came over here, I noticed a footstone right there, and here is a grave that I actually missed. Back up in here. So we'll go ahead and try to read it. It's Mary Ethel Kent, born October 14th, 1878, and died December 4th, 1905. You can see all the lovely engraving on the stone here. And just behind me here is another stone. This is Grady M., son of T.W. and M. Cleveland, born July 30th, 1891, died March 20th, 1901. No grief it gives, 'tis much the best to say, thy will be done. I'm going to go ahead and end this video. I'm going to make this a part 3, and then I'm going to do part 4 for the other graves that are out here, because I have a feeling that this video is getting kind of long. But I'm going to go ahead and shoot that after this video, so that'll be coming in the next couple of days too, and we will finally have all of this cemetery documented. I'm sure there's stuff that I'm still missing out here. I mean, I haven't even, it took a lot of time in that section right there, just documenting, clearing off those graves. So I'm gonna take 5 minutes and then jump back into these woods and see what else I can find. So I'll see you in part 4.